My name is Kim, and I never imagined my life would take the dark turns it did. I was 33 years old, raising my 3-year-old son, Max. Everything seemed like a dream when I first met Ben, my now husband. He was 35 when we met at a mutual friend's wedding. I was a bridesmaid, and he was part of the groom's party, organizing the after-party. After the wedding, Ben reached out to me with a message that said, "I know the wedding's over, but I'd love to meet up again." I was intrigued. We met, and soon after we began dating. Within 2 years, he proposed to me on my birthday. It was the happiest moment of my life. But happiness is a fleeting thing, isn't it? Looking back, maybe I should have seen the signs, the red flags. But love has a funny way of blinding you. I didn't meet Ben's family until after we decided to get married. It was a brief introduction. "This is Kim. We're getting married," Ben said casually, almost too casually. His mother smiled warmly, saying, "Nice to meet you, Kim. I hope we can support each other as family." Her kindness gave me hope that I could get along with them, but that hope quickly faded. One evening during dinner with his family, his mother dropped a bombshell. "When will you two move into our house?" I was stunned. I hadn't heard anything about living with his parents. I glanced at Ben, confused. He shrugged and said, "Oh, I guess I forgot to tell you. We're moving in next month." I didn't want to live with my in-laws, but I didn't want to be difficult either. So I reluctantly agreed. After we moved in, I quit my job, thinking I could start fresh and find something else. But it wasn't long before my father-in-law asked me to work at their family barbecue restaurant. "We could use the help," he said. I agreed, thinking it might help me feel like more of the family. But the truth was, I was never truly welcomed. One evening after closing the restaurant early, my in-laws suggested having dinner together. "Kim, you're cooking, right?" my mother-in-law said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I was taken aback but didn't want to seem rude. I quickly prepared a meal, pumpkin stew, fried chicken, soup, and salad. When I served the food, instead of gratitude, all I received were complaints. "Fried chicken is too heavy for an old man like me," my father-in-law grumbled. Ben followed with, "I don't like pumpkin, Kim, you know that." Cindy, my sister-in-law, joined in, criticizing the taste. My mother-in-law sealed it with a smirk. "My cooking is much better, right?" Everyone agreed, leaving me feeling small and unwanted. I wanted to cry, but I kept my composure. I didn't realize it at the time, but this was just the beginning. A few months later, tragedy struck. While working at the restaurant, my father-in-law suddenly collapsed. We rushed him to the hospital, but it was too late. He passed away from a heart attack. The entire family was devastated, but things only got worse. My mother-in-law's health deteriorated, and she retired from the restaurant, leaving Ben to take over as manager and Cindy as the deputy. I was asked to fill in for my mother-in-law's duties. Around the same time, I gave birth to my son, Max. Life became more complicated as the restaurant started losing customers. Cindy was concerned. "Ben, don't you think our sales are dropping?" she asked one evening. Ben shrugged it off, confident it was just a slow period. But I knew something was wrong. One night, I suggested that we promote the restaurant with flyers or some form of marketing. Ben's response was harsh. "It's impossible for you to understand how to run this business. Don't do anything unnecessary," he snapped. His mother chimed in. "Kim, you don't know business. Don't interfere." Cindy accused me of being the problem, claiming sales had dropped because of my poor customer service. I was speechless. How could they blame me for something I had no control over? I bit my tongue and kept quiet. But inside, I knew I had to do something. For Max's sake, I secretly started a side job. I had always been good at video editing, so I began offering my services online. It started small, editing surprise videos and YouTube clips, but slowly the orders increased. The work was fulfilling, and it gave me a sense of independence I hadn't felt in a long time. But my side job didn't go unnoticed. One day, my mother-in-law confronted me. "I heard you've been doing a side job. Don't slack off on your duties at the restaurant," she sneered. I reassured her that I wouldn't neglect my responsibilities, but she didn't seem convinced. A few days later, she and Ben, along with Cindy, went out, leaving me to prepare dinner. It was a scorching hot day, and after making dinner, I let Max play in a small pool on the balcony to cool down. I was briefly distracted by a delivery when they returned unexpectedly. My mother-in-law grabbed the package from my hands and barked, "This is mine! Give it to me now!" Then, to my shock, she handed me a receipt and told me to mark her personal purchase as a business expense. I was furious, but held my tongue. As they sat down on the sofa after returning from their meal out, despite asking me to cook, they acted like everything was fine. Suddenly, we heard a scream from the balcony. It was my mother-in-law, drenched after falling into the pool. While I struggled to suppress my laughter, Ben and Cindy looked horrified and immediately blamed me. "Why didn't you clean up the pool?" they scolded, ignoring the fact that I had just been playing with Max. Later that evening, my mother-in-law gathered everyone around the dining table. With a dramatic flair, she declared, "I can't live with Kim anymore. She's dangerous." She had tears in her eyes as she announced that she would be leaving the house. Cindy immediately agreed, saying she would go too. I felt a glimmer of hope that finally I could live peacefully with just Ben and Max. But then Ben dropped a bombshell. "I'm going with them," he said, without a hint of hesitation. "I'll visit Max, but from now on, we'll live separately." His words cut through me like a knife. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own husband was choosing his mother and sister over me and our son. I was stunned into silence as they packed up and left. After they moved into a luxury condo, funded by the restaurant's dwindling profits, no less, I realized I had to make a decision. I couldn't continue living like this, not for myself, and not for Max. When I visited their condo to pick up some supplies that had been mistakenly delivered there, my mother-in-law greeted me with the same smug superiority she always had. "You must want to live here too, don't you? If you work as a helper, I might let you stay," she said, her tone dripping with mockery. Ben and Cindy stood by, laughing quietly. That was the final straw. "I'm done," I said, my voice steady but cold. "I want a divorce." The room went silent. My mother-in-law, Ben, and Cindy stared at me in shock. "What? A divorce? Why?" Ben asked, as if he hadn't just chosen his family over me. "You don't love me, Ben. You love your mother more than you ever loved me," I said, trying to keep my voice from shaking. His response stunned me. "Of course I love my mom. What's wrong with that?" I had no words left. The man I thought I knew had turned into a stranger. I handed over the financial records from the restaurant and showed them the reality they had been ignoring. Ben and Cindy were earning a measly $700 a month between them. The luxury condo rent, the lavish lifestyle, they were all being funded by the income I made from my side job. Their eyes widened in disbelief as I laid it all out. "You thought the business was doing fine, didn't you?" I asked. "Well, it's not. Sales are down, customers are leaving, and the reviews are awful." I showed them the negative reviews online. Complaints about the food, the cleanliness, and even Ben and Cindy's attitude towards customers had all contributed to the restaurant's decline. Cindy's face flushed with anger. She turned to Ben, shouting, "This is your fault. I told you not to change the meat suppliers." Ben fired back, and soon the two of them were arguing, leaving my mother-in-law to try and calm them down. I had enough. I left them there, still bickering, and returned to my parents' house with Max. When I explained everything to my parents, they were shocked but supportive. "You've been through so much," they said, welcoming me and Max with open arms. The divorce was finalized quickly. Without my income to support them, Ben, Cindy, and my mother-in-law couldn't afford the luxury condo and had to move out. The restaurant, now with a tarnished reputation, eventually closed down. Ben and Cindy were left working part-time jobs, barely making ends meet, while my mother-in-law picked up cleaning work to survive. Their once close family was now crumbling, each blaming the other for their downfall. As for me, my side job in video editing grew into a full-time business. I was invited to speak at schools, became a successful entrepreneur, and moved to New York City with Max. We now live in a luxury condo, the kind my mother-in-law had flaunted, but this time it was paid for with my hard work. I sometimes think back to those painful years and wonder how I endured it all. But in the end, I found my strength. I built a new life for Max and me, far away from the toxic family that once tried to tear me down. They got what they deserved, but more importantly, I found peace.